Hello, it's Richard over at the Breakaway Café again, and I'd just like to talk a little bit about why I feel that communication breaks down within a business. Effective communication, of course, is absolutely essential within a business. Without clear, concise communication, the success of any organisation will be limited. So what are the reasons why communication breaks down, and how can these be avoided? Well, I've got a list of 7 things here that I think greatly contribute to why communication breaks down in a business. Number 1 is the chain of command. Communication will often break down due to Chinese whispers. In other words, the message is passed up and down through the chain of command and gets altered on the way. We've all experienced this one. This is particularly, of course, noticeable in companies with complex organisational structures. So whatever the size of the business, it's better to communicate directly with the intended recipient so as to avoid any misinterpretation at all. Number 2 on my list is making assumptions. Assumption is definitely another culprit in communication breakdown. We so often assume that someone else knows something that they just don't. This is just as likely to happen with people that we know as people that we don't know. Making the mistake of thinking that we know what someone else is thinking and they know what we are expecting of them is just asking for trouble. So get hold of the person you want to communicate with and ensure that you say exactly what you mean and exactly what you want from them. Make it clear. Number 3 is don't stop communicating. Ensure you communicate at the frequency you have agreed. Often communication which is expected is not carried out due to normally the excuse of not having enough time. This might be, for example, of course, at the end of a project, and this is almost certain to cause a communication breakdown there and could also lead to the disruptions of completing the project. It is better to factor in more time to communicate than not enough. So especially when you're planning a project, allow more time to communicate than less. Number 4 on my list is quality, not quantity. Communicating too much at once can also be a problem too. Don't send too much information so that the recipient of the information is bombarded, as this could lead to them being unable to process all the information and then nothing gets done, and that won't be any good for anybody. Number 5 on my list is consider your audience. Really important. Not choosing the correct wording can also cause problems. Don't use slang or terms only understood by certain age groups. Also, you must consider cultural and language differences. Okay, consider your audience, who you're relaying the message to. Number 6 is a good one, distractions. It might be best to call a short morning meeting to relay your message to get the full attention of the recipient than to send them a message or an email halfway through the day when their attention is not completely on that message because it's been taken up by perhaps your customers or your colleagues. So it might be best to get it out of the way, an important message, first thing in the morning at a morning meeting. And lastly on my list, number 7 is stress. Something that comes up all the time in the working environment, and this can often lead to the lines of communication failing. Whether this is caused by the business itself going through difficult times, being short of staff, or individuals just experiencing difficult personal circumstances, emotions and high levels of pressure will lead to arguments and disruptions in teams, and this can lead to poor results and bad communication. So recognise the stress as soon as possible and work towards eliminating the causes. At the Breakaway Café, we can help you identify where communication is breaking down, and we can help you to avoid this actually happening. We'll work with you and we'll work with your team also to help you communicate more effectively. So why don't you come over to www.thebreakawaycafe.com where we can help you with all your communication needs.